just giving other women that chance to network and broaden that, get a better profile and create bigger opportunities to kind of get in there and be part of that voice of the change is something I'm really passionate about facilitating. And there is something coming next year that will move towards helping to give more women a voice and also to unlock the kinds of roles that are available in the industry. It's not, you don't have to be a petrol head to work in the automotive industry. There's a lot of other skills. And the work that you do, Kat, is amazing in how you unlock data in the business that you work for. Isn't something that necessarily people leaving school would be aware of.
Anyway, welcome back, guys. And we've got a new... you've been in the studio before, haven't you, Kat? We've just been saying, to be honest. But obviously, we've had both of you guys very, very recently. It feels like a bit of a transitional period at the moment, doesn't it? In that, is it fair to say that in terms of the way the industry is working, from not just a marketing perspective, but also just the way the industry works in general, really? And like you say, reacting to changing consumers. Does that make it an exciting industry to come into, Jackie?
I think so. I mean, we sort of jokingly say that we're trying to sort of literally change the engine while the thing's in flight. So we're constantly trying to release new tech and upgrade the stuff that's going on. I think coming into the industry, we were talking about how do we get more talent into the industry and make sure we give that talent a voice. So we really want to be able to take that influence from newer voices. So how can we be the best that we can be? How can we engineer tech that really provides solutions to problems that younger people are experiencing when they come into buying a vehicle or using a vehicle as and when they need to, because the usership of maybe younger people will be different in terms of how we've always owned cars. So it's a really exciting time, I think, to come into the industry because it's in listening and changing mode. Yeah. And it's definitely not stuck where it was pre-COVID. I think there was a lot of habitual practices and processes. It was all very linear, very managed. There was very little flexibility in how you could go through a process. I think now customers do things in any order they want to do them in, and we have to provide technology that allows for that to happen. Yeah. And then when you come in to buy, you've kind of got that footprint of what you've done to make it easy to complete that process. So yes, it's a really exciting time to come in.
And we were talking earlier, weren't we, about getting more women involved. It's something that you're very passionate about. Can you talk a bit more about that?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's been great to meet Kat for the first time today. And one of the things we were talking about is just giving other women that chance to network and broaden that, get a better profile and create bigger opportunities to kind of get in there and be part of that voice of the change is something I'm really passionate about facilitating. And there is something coming next year that will move towards helping to give more women a voice and also to unlock the kinds of roles that are available in the industry. It's not, you don't have to be a petrol head to work in the automotive industry. There's a lot of other skills. And the work that you do, Kat, is amazing in how you unlock data in the business that you work for. Isn't something that necessarily people leaving school would be aware of. So I think how we can start to work together and do more of that outreach will be really, really good to do.
Definitely.
It comes back to that non-linear path, doesn't it? We talked about this off air, if you like, as well. And this idea that you leave school. I think a lot of kids, when you're young, we all thought this as a kid, that you leave school and you end up doing the thing that you've always wanted to do, and it's just that's it, and you carry on and then you retire and that's it. We all know that isn't the way life very, very rarely works that way. I guess that probably influences a little bit the way that men or women end up in this industry, because they may not leave school or get their degree and then think about the automotive industry, but they might do 2 or 3 things beforehand which lead them there. I know obviously we've spoken about your route into the industry, Phil. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I think it's giving certainly younger people, and I don't just mean like children, I mean people earlier in their career, the confidence that what you're doing today isn't the thing you're going to be doing in 5, 10, 15 years, nor that actually everyone's got it all worked out. I think that's the key thing that was like kind of struck me as I kind of went into my 40s, that like I still don't know what I want to do ultimately, but I'm enjoying it along the way, and that's the important thing. So I guess my advice is kind of remain curious and ask people and try and work alongside interesting people and ask them questions and be ambitious and set yourself those kind of like targets to get there. And the automotive industry in particular, like one of the things that's compelled me to it, one of the things I think that attracts or keeps people in it is that by its nature, it's very sort of fast moving. It's sometimes resistant to change, but there is always a pressure to hit a sales target. There's always a pressure with a new model being released, or a new recall, or some particular economic kind of disaster or something. There's always something going on, and do you know what? There's not a lot of money in kind of automotive retail, so the businesses have to be really, really sharp. So it is a hell of a schooling for someone to go through and understand, that life isn't kind of laid out on a plate for you. So I think that's probably the thing that ends up keeping people, because you sort of get that sort of adrenaline. And like, we're sort of a supplier, we sort of sit on the side, but we absolutely feed off that frenzy. And if we're not sharp enough for that, we'll kind of get left behind, and it really keeps you honest.
Yeah, like you say, it's the key. It's the retaining people, isn't it? But it's also drawing people into the industry, isn't it? And go back to what Jackie was saying earlier, Kat, about getting more women interested. Is there more the industry can do? Do you think to attract more females into this business?
Yeah, I think it's in education and sort of letting people know what the motor industry is. Really what it is, because everybody has this idea of what the motor industry is, and actually it's not always that accurate. And that you don't have to just be a technician or a car salesperson, that there's so much more that goes on where, if you're not into fixing cars, then you can still come into the automotive industry, because there's so much more that we can do and that's involved, and that, when you can, if you want to sit behind a desk and look at data and spreadsheets, and then there's a job there for you. But it's still really exciting and interesting, and you're in an industry which is constantly changing. We have to change as dealers. The manufacturers are changing as well, and it's really exciting.
Yeah.
And I think that people understanding that, whether they are at the beginning of their career or even further down, there's so many skills which are transferable from other industries into the motor trade, and it's probably just not one where people really think so that's a choice that they could make, and it is, and it's really good.
Yeah, like you mentioned e-commerce earlier. I mean, that's a classic example of something that you wouldn't link to automotive at all, would you really? But it does link, doesn't it?
Massively.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just about selling cars, it's about all of the other things you can now do through e-commerce platforms, whether it's booking a service, engaging with customers differently. All of those things come through a customer front end. And you have to be able to kind of plumb that into and that's your sort of superpower really, is how you then plumb it all in, working with people like us to make sure it all flows nicely. So, but e-commerce is just a route in, it's just your shop front, whether it's a product or a service, it's a shop front.
Yeah.
So
to kind of wrap this up, what would you? Cause we do get obviously some younger people listening to this, and it's I love the fact that they're listening in to people like yourselves who've got the experience. But what would you say to someone, Phil, who wants to get into automotive, but they're either at the very start of their career or they haven't started their career yet? What can they do to tread that path?
I think it's finding interesting people and asking them lots of questions. You do make your own luck sometimes, and it's okay to be annoying and kind of find your way into it. And I think, kind of to Kat's point as well, there is lots of different types of opportunities. So, I'm not really anything to do with cars, but I will still sit there kind of watching a transporter being loaded like a 3-year-old. So I think it's just about finding interesting people and just ask and learn and be annoying.
Yeah, I love that. Be annoying. Yeah, as a show title, I think. What about yourself, Kat? What would you say to someone who's looking to get in?
I think try lots of different things and find what it is that you really love to do. Because if you find what it is that really gets you excited, then it makes your life so much easier. It's not to say that it won't ever be stressful, but ultimately then you will enjoy going to work every day, and that is what you want to find.
Yeah, you never work a day in your life, do you? It's that classic saying. I suppose also bear in mind that that desire to do whatever it is that you want to do may not lead you into a job that you were thinking of at all, but go with it, do it, and see where it ends up. Basically.
Just try it. Try everything.
Why not?
That's what I say to my kids. Just try it.
Just
see if you like it. If you don't, then try something else.
Exactly. Finally, to yourself, Jackie, what would you say to, I don't know, someone who's, let's go more to the person who's left school, they've perhaps got a degree, they don't really know what they want to do, but they love, they look at these old kind of, we always talk about these old ads that we've got on the table here. They look at this stuff, and there's a lot of heritage in this industry. They want to be involved in some way, but they've got absolutely no idea how to get into there. What would you say?
There's heritage, but also a lot of innovation when you look at the stuff that's coming out now from manufacturers around EVs and, you know, how we're kind of trying to make sure we engineer products that are future-proofing the planet. There's some really good stuff. So I think we sort of said jokingly, well, not jokingly, we said that there's so many kids these days that they all want to be YouTubers. Actually, there's loads of opportunity to be, just get yourself in front of a camera and sell a car, or do, if you want an audience, there's an audience ready for you. So I think to your point, Phil, if you want to find an interesting career and one that you can move around in, automotive has so much to offer, whether it's from working in marketing or digital or tech or data or engineering or, there's so much opportunity to come in and be creative, but also to move around into other roles, whether you're a retailer, whether you start with a retailer or a manufacturer or a supplier that works for the industry, there's so much potential to kind of come in and make a difference and innovate the way that it's going to be going.
Yeah, it's quite often not the most obvious, is it? That's probably the key takeaway today, I think, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Guys, it's been great. We've gone on all sorts of different tangents and things there, and these conversations never end where they start, which is the great thing about this show. But thanks, guys, for coming on. Really appreciate it, and
Thank you.
we'll have you on again soon. Cheers.
Thank you.
Armchair marketing.